Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century. Greetings, family. Welcome to another wonderful, infotaining, edutaining edition of The Artivist Thinks, Thought Provocateur. I'm your host for this empowerment segment, Brother Ron, also known as R2, C2, H2, The Artivist. And this is the news-free Dixie Zone. Straight no chaser, y'all. Making it plain, even in 2020, when it seems to be so complex. But remember, family, that the universe, God, is still in control. And it's time for us to get some self-respect by getting some self-determination. This is Black October, another unofficial Black History Month. This is a month of revolutionary birth and revolutionary struggle. And we struggle the righteous struggle to the day we die. And that energy does not die with us. It is transferred to the next generation. But we got to understand the blueprint is already there. It was already there before Ice Cube's contract with Black America. No need to reinvent the wheel. Got Dr. Clyde Anderson with his book Powernomics. Dr. Clyde Anderson put it in writing for our people to access. But we must know before we can act. And there is no greater educator than the press. To paraphrase the late great Ida Bay. I call her Ida Bay because she's so fine, Wells Barnett. She said it's up to the press to educate the people so we know how to act and respond in the desired manner to get the desired results. And this is why I am proud. New Black Media, Brother Ron, we all be. Knowledge is the currency of the universe. I'm here for my people. Just when I want to give up, y'all pull me back in. I'm like Michael Corleone, Godfather. Just when I got out, or I'm trying to get out, y'all pulling me back in. So I want to thank y'all for y'all words of encouragement through email, text, voicemail, also phone calls, also donations or donations. It takes a nation to lead a revolution or to birth real liberation. So I'm glad. And so y'all know how to get in touch with Brother Ron. But I want to talk about several things. And I'm going to break this up to segments because y'all, I owe it to y'all because a lot of y'all be reaching out to me and Brother Ron, what you think about that? And a lot of times I feel like my input is not really necessary, to be honest with you, because so many of you all are doing a great job of disseminating information, sharing your thoughts and worldview and perspective, because your words create worlds. To quote the great Dr. Black, words create worlds. And I want to thank you all for taking the time. But like, I have my magic glasses on. My third eye is cataract free. My pineal gland is functioning beyond category. And so I think it's important now when we're in the last days in so many ways. I don't know what to expect from moment to moment. It's like 2020 could either be a horror movie or a dark comedy. But it is something. It is not boring. A lot of anxiety in the air, a lot of frustrations manifesting, but this too shall pass. Like 2020 is like what it must be like to have a whole year in Mercury retrograde. So we are currently in the last retrograde of the year. So really, it should be the opposite of what a Mercury retrograde should do. Because people ask me, Brother Ron, what's a Mercury retrograde? Well, it happens 3 times a year. Mercury is the planet of communication. And it appears during this period that Mercury is going backwards around the sun. So communications are off, miscommunication. For example, you may send a text message today. It may not arrive till tomorrow. Your computer can malfunction, get a virus, can crash, all that stuff. It is advised not to buy anything that's very expensive during this time, not to get into contracts, any type of expensive contract. Do not travel to a new place during this time period. Try to avoid major surgery if you can. If it's already arranged, it is what it is. Life goes on. But also it's a time where people that in your past come back to your present. You might have that ex-boyfriend or girlfriend come out of nowhere, send you a friend request on Facebook or whatever, start following you on Instagram, or call you out the blue. So it's one of them times. So it's not a time to be afraid. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's a time really of reflection and to really understand the choices you made, how these choices affected your present, like the choices you made in the past, how it culminates in your present, and what you could do pushing forward. So this is not a time to be afraid. It is really a time to be excited about the possibilities of your future. So that's my Mercury retrograde, for dummies. I'm not calling y'all dummies. I'm just giving y'all a short synopsis of what a Mercury retrograde is. Do yourself a favor. Take a look. It's all online. Go research Mercury retrograde. And the reason why I really got into all this stuff was because the women I date, they were crazy. Crazy, baby. Well, everybody's crazy is on the spectrum. Crazy is on the spectrum. I always advise people get with the crazy that you could deal with, that you know. Dr. King said it best. He said, human salvation lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted. I am proudly creatively maladjusted in a way, and you know what? That anybody should be accustomed to getting mistreated by a system that was not built in your favor. And let me say once again that we got to stop confusing our people, because this has been an epiphany for me. I want to make this stuff simple because we can get liberation. It is possible to be free, to have self-determination, but you got to understand this ain't the system for that. So you got to be willing to take that other step. There's no good really to always rebel, to get angry, to tear the club up, to tear the street up, to tear the business up. We're going to go back as business as usual. This is a really amazing year. 2020 is about clarity and hindsight and seeing things as is. This system is not meant for black people to excel. This system is not meant for us to be free or to be self-determined. This is not our system. This system was not built in our interest. Therefore, black people cannot be racist, because this system does not give us the privilege and the access to exploit other groups. We are the permanent underclass for so many words. We are, when you cook it in that pot, we're the scorched bottom. We're not meant to rise to the top. And every so often, the scorched bottom, some of that particle will break up and rise to the top, but it's only a few and far between. A system that rewards individualism but punishes a class or group of people is not a system where you can expect all your people to be free. This is why what Ice Cube is doing is very important in this stage, because he has wealth. His family is good. He has the foundation for generational wealth. But what good is it to have all these trappings and these wonderful things and gadgets and comfort when you are always uncomfortable going out among your people? When your people look at you as a meal ticket or a blank check, is that a good feeling? Like, would it be better if you go out and meet with family, and when they call you, it's not always to ask for some money for a loan they never mean to repay, because they don't got the means to really repay it. They're not making enough money at the job. Like, you working $15, $10 an hour, minimum wage, according to cost of living and inflation, should be closer to $30 than $15. But a lot of the populace is not educated on that understanding. A lot of us don't understand economics. More of us are drone workers than we are, worker bees or worker ants than we are king or queen bee. More of us depend on other people to manifest opportunities for us instead of manifesting opportunities for us, for ourselves rather. I come from a family with interest. I'm in the process of researching my family tree. I know that my paternal grandmother, she was one of 10 children. She was the youngest. My great grandfather was born into slavery in South Carolina. His name was Thomas J. French, and he was born into slavery back in 1862. He lived all the way to the early days of the Great Depression. When my grandmother was born, I believe he was approximately 66 years young. So he had his kids late, and give me hope. I just turned 40, and hopefully the good vibrations I put out there, I'll be able to leave my legacy, leave some seeds behind to grow and to help benefit humanity. But he was born into slavery. He was born a slave on a plantation in South Carolina. But by the time he died, he was an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He owned real estate and businesses and stuff like that. He was a master barber, and his sons were also entrepreneurs. They never worked for the white man. They own their own businesses like liquor stores, restaurants, apartment, whatever y'all want to. They own real estate, what I'm saying? They own businesses. They work for themselves. And my grandma, her people are very colorful. They're from Kansas City. And you look at Fargo season 4, it's a great season. I never seen the Fargo TV series until this year with Chris Rock playing a black crime boss in Kansas City. And I love Glenn Turman as Dr. Senator. He was my favorite character. I hate that they did him in so early, but it reminds me of the stories I heard about my people, my grandma's siblings, the Frenches. Because my grandfather had to change his name from Perret to French because what happened in South Carolina. He killed a white man to protect his mama, and he had to leave because they were going to lynch him. So he moved to the middle of the country. He met my great grandmama Anna Miller in Joplin, Missouri, and they settled in Kansas City, Kansas. So he didn't waste no time. He started owning real estate and all this stuff, and passed that type of entrepreneurial spirit on to his children. And we got to pick that up back as Black Americans. We got to get back and making our own opportunities and make it work for ourselves. We got to start getting the business of not handouts but hand ups, and start creating real sorts of generational wealth. And it can be done. It can be done. And I feel the spirit of the ancestors, the righteous ancestors, are leading us to the promised land. You understand? I'm in Memphis, right? I'm right across the street where they set up and killed Dr. King. I'm right across the street from the epicenter of the Memphis Race Massacre of 1866, which was started by police misconduct, just like in Philadelphia, like in D.C., all over the place, Minnesota. Police misconduct start riots and massacres, not the people, but the authoritative state, the so-called paddy wagon, slave patrol. They the ones that started all this chaos. And you think about the codes over the years, law and order and stuff like that. They the one is about law and disorder. It's organized chaos. Is to keep the people divided and conquered. And that will get to my point. This is not white supremacy per se, but this is white power, the way the system works. And white power to me means basically divide and conquer. The powers that be stayed in power or stay in power by keeping the people fighting each other, keeping the peasants fighting among each other. Divide and conquer. Go back. I'm not going to get into this in this segment, but Google Bacon's Rebellion and how this racism thing came into play. The Bacon's Rebellion. Think about even Gabriel Prosser. They killed Gabriel Prosser October 10th, 1800, and he was going to lead one of the largest slave insurrections in this country's history down in Virginia. He was going to crown himself the king of Virginia. He was like, I'm going to be the king. I'm the king. And they killed him because he was, snitched out by some raccoons. They snitched him out. So they killed him and his brothers, and he's buried. But they African burial ground in Richmond, right by I-95, by the slave dungeon, with all that stuff that was covered in 12 Years a Slave, a movie, which was very much. If you watched it, it was like post-traumatic slave disorder in the flesh. I mean, I hate looking at a lot of these movies, but it happened. It's like Farewell Uncle Tom. Y'all should check out Farewell Uncle Tom, the director's cut. It is horrible, but it happened, and we got to deal with that because we're passing on generational trauma. But I believe our present generation, we're gonna have to break that curse. This is our job to break the generational curses of the trauma and pass on generational wealth instead of generational trauma. So that's very important. But like, this system runs on white power, divide and conquer, which is basically divide and conquer. Black power is solidarity and unity. White power is open palm, fingers spread apart. Black power is coming together. And the problem with us is that black power is not always used to help black people in this system. We allow our black power to get mismanaged by the powers that be. You understand? Y'all need to check out Lovecraft Country. I need to do a show about Lovecraft Country. If you out there, you want to do a show with me about Lovecraft Country, let's get it popping. Y'all know how to hit me up, r2c2h2@gmail.com or weallbe@gmail.com. But the thing about it is, in the last episode of the show, one of the lead characters told the white character, I made it my power to take away all the power from white people. Y'all can't use magic no more. And really, we are the magic. Colonel Sanders talking about the secret recipe. It's black people. Black people, we are the secret recipe to America's success. But a lot of us don't understand that, don't even understand that. And this is why it's very much a great time. You see the failures of the educational, miseducation, misdirection system how it's been basically destroying our people's mind. Like what Brother Malcolm said, only a fool would let their enemies, enemies be the primary educators of their children. So we got to understand that. So when racism is a system that benefits the folks in power, and the folks in power right now are classified as white people. See, this racism thing is really an American invention. To like, no, nobody does it like America. We do it differently. When y'all play football around the world, y'all talking about soccer. When we talk about football, it's different. You see how America got its own way of doing stuff, and really, we the light of the world when it comes to innovation as far as culture. But like the secret recipe for the culture is black folks, but black folks are constantly being exploited, blood sacrifice, and things of that nature. So white supremacy is not the system; it's a religion. It's a practice. If you believe, like religions are based on is organized beliefs, right? Religion. I have made it my duty to never argue with people about their religious belief because you can't win. Because when somebody believes in something, it's not about knowledge, it's not about logic, it's about irrationality. It's about because beliefs are irrational. You meet some brilliant people, a lot of brilliant scientists, contrary to what people think, were very or are very religious. Think about Sir Isaac Newton, the guy who discovered gravity. He was very religious. So people got this thing about, and then people think science is so exact and precise. That's not true. Science is like really based on educational guessing, based on research. It's like heightening the contradictions. I remember I had a conversation with a rocket scientist from NASA. He told me, brother Ron, science is not what people think it is. We do a lot of guessing, a lot of guesswork, a lot of experimentation, but it's not as exact as people think. So science is not really exact. You know, art may be more exact than science in a lot of ways, but that's another segment, another show. But yeah, white supremacy is not the system. The system is a racism system. Because for example, let's say if Gabriel Prosper succeeded in overthrowing Virginia, you know, they wanted to kidnap the governor and hold him for ransom, who became a future president of the United States. I believe I want to say it was either James Monroe or James Madison, who was the governor of Virginia. I'm gonna look that up right quick. Who was the Virginia governor? That's what I love about the world we live in. That you can type in like, you know, Google's like praying to God, but you get an answer really quick. You know, a lot of time when you pray to the universe, so God, the answer's not always clear. It might take a minute. But when you pray to the Google God, they can give you an answer right quick. So is James Monroe. So the Monroe Doctrine, this is a guy who was sending black folks to the slave colony known as Liberia, which exists to this day. A lot of organized chaos and confusion. So the so-called slaves were repatriated in Liberia, and James Monroe with his Monroe Doctrine, but he was the governor at the time of the supposed there would have been the process rebellion or Gabriel's rebellion, General Gabriel. So he was hanged and buried. Well, for a while was Virginia Commonwealth University's parking lot. They basically paved over the African burial ground. It was the grassroots in the community and said, hell no, get up that pavement, respect the ancestors, because the ancestors are right here, right now. So now, but white supremacy is what, because black folks could be white supremacists. We can't be racist, but we can't be white supremacists because we could believe that white folks are the gods. If your Jesus white, if your God white, if the people you feel is always good are white people, yes, you actually have a situation where you gotta understand the power of black people when it's used against us. A lot of times these so-called white people or racists cannot touch our people without our consent. It's like when you invite a vampire in your home, they can't enter your home unless you give them the consent or the permission to enter your home. So we have been too comfortable with letting vampires suck the sacrificial blood of our ancestors and our people currently. Marcus Garvey, as much as J. Edgar Hoover did to sabotage the Black Star Line and Marcus Garvey, he needed help from black people to neutralize Marcus Garvey. The first black FBI agent was hired to neutralize Marcus Garvey. James Wormley Jones, also known as Agent 800. That should be a great movie. I think they should have made that movie before the the Black Messiah movie with Fred Hampton coming out. So there's going to be really, you're not going to get the truth from that movie. I'm not really going to tell you right now. Yeah, I know that Fred Hampton Jr. worked on it as a consultant along with his mom, his beautiful mom, but It's like when you look at the Self-Made movie. I have not seen it yet. With Madam C.J. Walker on Netflix. They had her descendant involved in the project, and she wrote a article about how they really just butchered her ancestors' memory and legacy for a bunch of lies and innuendo stuff that was even true. But if I tell people all the time, Black history is better than science fiction. It's better than a Hollywood movie. If we were told the truth about who we are, it would be inspiring. You don't have to embellish or make up things with black people. It's like that movie with Don Cheadle with Miles Davis. I actually was looking forward to that because, from my understanding, Don Cheadle is a jazz head. He loves jazz, and he's from Kansas City. You know, a lot of great jazz musicians like Charlie Parker, whose centennial celebration this year, and we're gonna do something to honor Charlie during the Jimmy Lawrence Jamboree Festival Week, which has been pushed uh, to late this year instead of October. Normally would have it around this time, the last week of October, but because of it's 2020, we got to do it differently. But it will go. But that movie was horrible. You know what I'm saying? Miles Davis was a complex man. I read Miles Davis' autobiography years ago. I read Miles and Me, both written, Quincy Troop, a brilliant poet out of East St. Louis, helped write Miles' autobiography. And he wrote another book, a complimentary book called Miles and Me. Y'all should check it out. I met Quincy Troop a couple of times when I was in college. So he was a good brother. But if they just took the stuff that was written by Miles and stuff while he was alive, that stuff is more impressive than that movie. That movie was horrible in terms of telling the truth about who Miles Davis was. Miles was an interesting cat, and they just told the truth about Miles. I wish somebody would make a limited series, maybe on Hulu or Netflix or one of these platforms, Amazon Prime, that would get into the complexities and the brilliance of Miles Davis, his real contribution to the culture. It's the same thing with Ike Turner. Ike Turner image and legacy was butchered by What's Love Got to Do with It. My grandma, my maternal grandma, may she rest in heaven, Sister Hattie Mae Taylor, that was one of her favorite movies, but it did not tell the truth about Ike really, and it really overdid it. Its character assassinated Ike Turner. Even Tina Turner said that they went a little bit too far with it. But Ike didn't know what they were doing when he gave the consent. Like a lot of people don't read the fine print. A lot of times we sign off on things not reading the fine print. We might be in a tight bond or tight squeeze for money, whatever it is. But Ike actually tried to get his autobiography out there. I think Virgin shut down distribution of his autobiography from getting out in the aftermath of What's Love Got to Do with It. And you should check out Judge Joe Brown and his assessment of Tina Turner. I know he talked about it on the We All Be show about 2 years ago, but he get more extensive on his show. Go to YouTube, Valerie Denise Jones. Shout out to her and the work she's doing over there. But the Judge Joe Brown show, he talks about Tina Turner because he grew up in South LA. And Ike Turner and Tina was around, connected to the neighborhood. But my understanding, Tina was a gorilla pimp from the stories I hear, and people are adding more stories. And it may be true. I don't know, but I know one thing about Ike Turner. Ike Turner was clean when he got into the business. I mean, he was not on drugs. Then my understanding, if he caught his musicians using drugs, he would kick them out the band. And he ran a tight ship. He was he was very much a disciplinarian. I think B.B. King said that Ike Turner was the greatest band leader he ever saw. And that's B.B. King, who was a legend in his own right. Our good brother Wendell Pierce is slated to play B.B. King in the coming biopic. Shout out to him. I think they did a great job in casting B.B. King with Wendell Pierce. Because whatever you may think about his politics, anything associated with Wendell Pierce, for the most part, I have not been disappointed by. All the movies and TV shows he's involved in have been pretty decent shows. All right. So forget about politics. I'm just looking at the work as an artist. And, I'm just covering a lot of ground here, right? But take a look. It's all online. There's a reason why Tina kept his last name. Let's put it like that way. And the world is so upside down. The people that are good get mistreated, and the people out bad get the best treatment. A lot of times, what Dr. Randy Short would say, he'll say, we love our traitors but hate our heroes. And it's so true in times like these. So this is why I'm blessed that I'm able to reach people on this platform. So I said, Ron, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I said, well, let's talk about this, right? Let's talk about the P-Valleyfication of the black vote. The P-Valleyfication of the black vote and WAP reparations. I know that catch y'all attention. I'm like 20 something minutes into this presentation. Why not? And I said the P-Valleyfication of the black vote, because y'all know about the campaign, get your booties to the polls using black scribbles. Black scribbles allegedly from Magic City to get black folks, in particular black males, red-blooded black American males, to the polls. Get your booty to the poll. Get your booties to the poll. Poll, poll, poll. All right. So it was a play on words, whatever. And P-Valley, very popular show. It might be controversial in some circles. It's not family friendly, but it is gritty, and it's about really Memphis. It's set in Chucalissa, Mississippi, but really Chucalissa is an Indian museum in Memphis. But it is really Memphis because the vernacular and the characters. I know these people, man. I know these folks. Matter of fact, one of the leads in P-Valley went to high school and junior high with me. Her name is Brandy Evans, and she plays Mercedes. You know, I waited for 20 something years to see her bucket naked, bucket naked, bucket naked. And I was not disappointed. Shout out to Brandy Evans. She's a beautiful woman in so many ways. I know people might not agree with the presentation of the P-Valley, but I thought it was very entertaining. And being a Memphian and being a historian or art historian, I kind of knew where they were coming from with some of the stories inside the story of P-Valley. It's very fascinating. We got to do a show. I got to get Brandy on the show one day. I'm gonna try to reach out to her, but a shout out to Brandy, and she's a beautiful sister. She's the main primary caretaker of her mom. Her mom got a lot of health issues, but she's been taking care of her mom for years. So whatever success she gets, she deserves, because she's a beautiful person. I remember like some years ago when I was I want to say maybe it was like junior high, right before high school. We went to Colonial Middle School together, or junior high, and then we went to Overton together. And I believe we was at TJ Maxx. I was with TJ Maxx for my aunt, and I saw Brandy, and I had a crush on Brandy, and she was with her mom. And I think I went up to Brandy, said hello. I think I passed a note with my phone number, and she laughed at me in a way. But she cool. It's cool. Like, it's all love. I was awkward teen and whatever, scared of girls. But she laughed. But I wish Brandy well, because people mature. Life teach you things, wisdom, insight, if you wise enough to learn the lesson. So Brandy had her ups and downs stuff, but she has been doing her thing for years. She, actually was an English teacher in the school system, and ended up just believing herself, because she always been a cheerleader in middle school as well as high school. And I think she danced for the Grizzlies, but she ended up getting into the industry where she was dancing for the likes of Katy Perry and some other industry stars. So she really learned the business. But I was impressed with her acting, because really, I don't think she was going to be a major character in P-Valley like that, but she stole the show to me. I mean, she really stole the show. People really were impressed. I was impressed, because when I seen her on the scene, I didn't see her on the screen. Rather, I didn't see her as my high school middle school classmate. I saw her. Wow, this is a woman with talent. I didn't know she could act like that. I know y'all saw her as Bobby Brown's sister in the Bobby Brown story on BET. I have not seen that yet. I know I'm a different dude. I'm not like everybody. Only reason I know about Top 40 Radio is because my CD player broke in my car. I would normally be listening to Tupac or Marvin Gaye or somebody like that. Be out of the loop for about 2 years. But P-Valley was interesting. Like, no, I know the sister who wrote it is Katori Hall, another Memphian. I think she went to Briarcrest, if I'm not mistaken. But she's brilliant as well in her own right. She wrote the screen or the play Mountaintop, about Dr. King's last night on Earth. Very controversial as well. But she actually worked, I don't know if she's still working with Hattie Lou Theater. That's the black rep theater here in Memphis. I actually was in the first play for Hattie Lou. I was the understudy for the lead, Cephas Miles, in the play Home. If you got a flyer or something like that of the promotion for Home, that's my goatee and hands with dirt in it. That's me. So I'm part of history. Like the Black Rep, Halu Black Rep Theater has been an important mainstay of black culture and arts in Memphis since 2006. But I was in the first play back in 2006. And it might be some footage floating around. We'll see. But yeah, shout out to Brandy Evans for an amazing turn in as Mercedes in P-Valley. And it's also she's a creative writer. She was, we was in the Capital program, the creative arts, I think it was creative arts, the creative and performing arts, excuse me. Like we was in the public school, but we was in a special like a gifted program called Kappa, the creative and performing arts, both at Colonial as well as at Overton, kind of like the show Fame. I'm gonna live forever. Well, I don't know, Tupac and Jada had in Baltimore, so we had that type of setting in that program in Memphis. So she was also a creative writer or in creative writing class. And what I want to see her own stuff out there on the big screen, on the small screen. I would love to see some of her scripts, her original scripts, and ideas for TV shows and movies. And I hope she get the chance to show her all her full talents. I mean, she's talented in so many ways, but I hope she get the chance to show the full breadth of her talents very soon. So yeah, so, but I call it the P-Valleyfication of the black vote because now you also have like some black women, or what Dr. Randy Short would call pork chop feminists, saying that they should go on a sex strike for black men who refuse to vote the Biden Harris or the mass incarceration ticket. They should hold the WAP hostage. They should hold the WAP hostage from black men who refuse to let their women tell them what to do when it comes to politics or politics. And my thing, I think that's Dr. Crunk, Dr. Brittany Cooper. And I'm gonna take the high road on that. It's not, I ain't gonna make fun of her, but I think it's absurd that people think that all we want is WAP as black men, as hetero black males. All we want is WAP. It's like saying that if you don't vote Biden Harris, we won't give you a Popeye's chicken sandwich. That's how ridiculous it is. People think that all we want is WAP, that we low vibration people. I would love some WAP. I've been in a WAP drop. I've been in a WAP drought for a while, so they don't even impress me much. That don't impress me much. You call me Joe No Camel Toe. As far as I'm concerned, I ain't getting no WAP. I been like that for a while, but it is what it is. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm just trying to make a point is that black women, all you see is as sex slaves. You trying to get us tied to the plantation through sex. It go back to what I said about Farewell Uncle Tom, where they actually had sex farms during slavery, and the black buck, the black man, he just a sex slave. He's just a big human vibrator. We don't supposed to think for ourselves, have no type of knowledge of self, have no type of self-determination. We just supposed to be driven by the other head, the smaller head. I don't care how big their head is down here. This head is bigger than that head, regardless. So we thinking with the wrong head. And so they want us to be dumbed down like that while we think about we're just gonna get some by any means necessary. But you had black men screwing their mothers, their sisters, aunts, and stuff like that, just to produce us. We are the result of systemic incest. You understand? We a whole bunch of kissing cousins and all that stuff. So we all types of confused. We were never allowed to have a so-called family in this system. You understand what I'm saying? So how can you have a black patriarchy if a black man can't be the head of his family, if he can't have self-determination and control his family, if he can't control his women? The white master will always jump the fence at night to screw the black man's so-called wife, right? And the black male couldn't do nothing but watch and take it. And you can't be a man when you can't protect your woman or protect your own assets. Like you hear stories about they'll take the strongest black alpha male and rape him in front of his people. Buck breaking, psychological buck breaking. To stay in your place, you take the most powerful thing, like an elephant in the circus, right? You take this big elephant, they put a stake in the ground and tie the elephant to the stake. But what is funny that the elephant does not realize how powerful he is. He can actually just move, but psychologically, it's not about the physicality, it's about the psychological. Once I got your mind, I got everything. Everything. You understand? It's not always about killing, it's about mind control. Even the mob know that killing people all the time is bad for business. It undermines business. So it ain't always about killing folks right away. They kill you slowly by controlling your mind, by dimming your spirit, by dimming your will. That's how they do it. But it starts with the mind. The mind is the most important real estate in the 21st century. If they can control that mind, that real estate, it becomes a plantation for their ends. If they can control your mind, it becomes a plantation for their ends. So y'all gotta realize that. So this low vibration stuff about, get your booties to the pole, uh, hold WAP hostage from the black man. This stuff is ridiculous. This shows how we not really mature when it comes to our politics. We're in a state of arrested development as a people. Like, it's interesting because, like, for example, I'm 40 years old, but I'm a supervisor at a place, at part-time supervisor, work, whatever. I got to pay my bills. I can always depend on YouTube money or donations. So I got my thing I got to do. But I'm 40, and the people that I supervise are in their 50s, all the way into their 70s. But although they older than me, sometimes you got to you got to stay on them to do their job, because if they think you're not watching what they doing, they just like any other human being. They'll try to get over. They try to take shortcuts, but when they see you on top of your thing, they'll have to respect that, regardless how young you are. Because I'm a supervisor, and I gotta respect myself enough to hold them accountable. Because the people over me, the owners of the company, gonna hold me accountable when things go wrong and things ain't happening. That's on me. It's not on them, because I gotta set an example and a standard that they must meet as well as exceed if we want to keep the contract. So black folks, we can't hold each other accountable because we like children in the mind. We don't want the responsibility. A lot of us pride ourselves on looking young as we get older, but got nothing to show for it when you die. What you passing on to the kids, to the grandkids, the great greats, all this. So why are you passing on besides debt? Besides the GoFundMe page, because you didn't think you're gonna die one day. You never paid into life insurance. Come on, y'all. Let's wake up, man. Stop with the foolery. Let's stop going in circle chasing our tails and stuff like that, all right? Let's get serious. We're not serious about ourselves, so why should our politics be serious? Why should anybody take us seriously? We still in this mind state of they gotta like me. If they don't like me, I don't vote for them. It's not about like, it's about respect. Respect and liking is two different things. Your enemies can have respect for you and not like you. That's why they're your enemies, but they respect you because they know you're gonna come with it. You have a standard of excellence, of expectations, and that you their rivals. So it's not about like we got this everybody gonna win a trophy type of mentality. No, it's gonna be one winner. And you should be playing around. You should be playing to win, not just to play for the sake of playing. You should learn the rules of engagement. So we're not even having serious. We can't even have serious dialogue because people like with Ice Cube, for example, people are more upset that he actually got the attention, and they upset for the wrong reasons. Ice Cube used his celebrity status to get access, but yet he given the people something in return as well. He actually created something called Contract with Black America that a lot of our politicians could have created. The people that we voted for, we keep on voting for folks that don't give us anything, but ask us every 2 to 4 to 6 years to keep on voting for them. They're not giving us anything because we don't really know what we want as a people, as individuals, as well as a people, as a collective. We're not asking for anything, but yet we get this vote. Voting is the least important thing when it comes to politics. The ability to control your politicians, to get legislation and policy passed. We got to start putting money behind our actions, because really the only group of people that get consistently vote shame are black people, and we get the least out of voting. You can't name me one historic landmark thing really that black folks has gotten for voting. We don't even, you can't say affirmative action because the group that benefit mostly from affirmative action are white women, and I got a problem calling white women minorities, but they have benefited. So what I'm saying, you in a system where they find a way to cheat the folks that should be, getting some type of benefits. There's always some type of cut around, run around, like people talking about, Donald Trump, he got, he don't pay his taxes and all that. I mean, Amazon don't pay no taxes, Netflix, Walmart, do they really pay taxes? They supposed to be corporations. No, they saying the Supreme Court said that corporations are people, but the only people they're auditing are like to be poor people. The only people they're auditing seem to be small business folk. But yet corporations get corporate welfare. Facebook and Twitter, all them, they take our intellectual property and make billions, literally billions of dollars off our intellectual property. We make them who they are. If people didn't post all their personal business and spend all their time on these platforms, they wouldn't have nothing. But yet they tell us we can't post what we want to post. But yet they making money off our intellectual property. See, we want to be slaves. Slavery never ended. I'm not talking about just being the prison corporation, CCA, whatever, all that. I'm talking about we put ourselves, we choose to be enslaved. Slavery is still a choice, whether it be debt slavery, whether it be the physical slavery, behind bars, whether it be really the soft bigotry of low expectations. We are allowing ourselves to be slaves. We choosing to be slaves instead of be liberated. We keep on getting killed by police, right? People talking, well, they killing us, and the best we could do is tear up some stuff. A lot of times, tear up where we live, because if we try to go outside of that, they're going to shoot to kill. Not because of Donald Trump, because that's the nature of the beast. You know what I'm saying? It's not to protect and serve you. It's to protect and serve the interests of the system, of the powers that be. Police never been our friend. Like I said, all the riots can be traced back to police misconduct. Every single last one of them. Or misconduct by the authority figure, by the state. People ain't out here just starting stuff just to be starting. People do have righteous grievances for being angry. But I'm saying that, we got to stop this going around in circles of this ain't going to solve nothing. Hashtagging, Facebook live streaming, that's not going to solve it. We got to go somewhere else with it. This is what I'm going to say about it. We got to go somewhere else with it. And with the Ice Cube thing, it's a start, but people, well, he's not qualified. Who's qualified? Who could say that somebody else ain't qualified to do the right thing? It's not about being qualified. It's about somebody taking the time to do what is right, what is just. Who are you to say person ain't qualified? Don't you know all you Bible loving people, the people that do stuff in the Bible are the most unqualified people. They the most disgraced, the most creatively maladjusted people. But God uses them to do a mission that is greater than themselves. Y'all assume people with the credentials, y'all be oohing and awing over people that got the gold, that hold the gold, that make the rule. They driving nice cars, they got nice homes, but they empty on the inside. I went to school with people that had it all. They had the latest BMW, they had the greatest name brand clothes. They came from families of this extravagant wealth. I went to school with people like that. I went to Washington University in St. Louis. Almost 18 years ago, I graduated from Washington University in St. Louis. And I'm still dealing with trauma from going to college. And that's another story. But I remember one day, this white girl took me home from the art school. And she was in a BMW. So she dropped me off on campus near my residential dorm. And she looked at me before I got the car. I'm going to forget this. She said, Ron, how you keep it all together? I said, what you mean how I keep it all together? I just don't understand how you keep it, like how you able to function. Because she was on a whole bunch of drugs. I mean, prescription drugs, because she had all type of anxieties. She was bipolar. She had all type of stuff going on, right? So I said, who said I got it together? Just because you assume that I got it, you don't know my struggle, you don't know my story, but I don't know nothing different. You know what I'm saying? I'm a black man. I'm there on scholarship, you know what I'm saying, a full ride, whatever, but I still got my struggles. I still got to deal with things I got to deal with. Things I were not prepared to deal with, even institutional racism. I mean, my people didn't prepare me for that, but it's not on them to prepare me for everything. Sometimes you just gotta experience life. I tell you one thing: nobody ever told me that life was fair. Nobody ever told me that damn lie. Okay, so it is what it is. But a lot of our people dealing with trauma. There's a lot of things that's taboo that should be taboo in our communities and our families. So this is why what I'm doing is very important to me, because I want to free all of us of our traumas. I got my own traumas, personal as well as generational, but it's not going to stop me from doing what I got to do to the last day, to the last breath. I want to be of service to my people. I love my people. I love black women. People say, well, you go hard on black women. Well, black women go hard on me. They treat me harshly throughout my life, but I also had good black women related to me and not related to me. There were good black women I never slept with. You know what I'm saying? They did things for me out the kindness of their hearts, not looking for something in return, because they want to see a black man win. And I want to see all black people win. I want to see black women win. I want to see black men win. I want to see the black family win. But we got to be honest in our situation. We are the laughing stock of the country because we don't take ourselves serious enough to really do stuff. It's like it should be consequences and repercussions politically when the police violate our people. But there's no consequences. But then again, you got to ask yourself this too. What has killed more black people in this system? Abortion or police brutality? See, a lot of people, we cheer for abortion. We want abortion, not because we got a health crisis, but because we don't want no responsibility. And also because we gotta be honest with ourselves. This system does not appreciate families. This is not a pro-life system that we're living in. So in a lot of ways, abortions can be seen as necessary evils, but they haven't stopped black folks been having babies. Like Fannie Lou Hamer, who was born in Black October, October 6th, right? 1917. She was the last of 20 children. Her parents, she grew up on a sharecropper plantation, right? She was the last of 20 children. She was the 20th child of her parents. Her parents had 20 children, dirt poor, but somehow they survived. But it took them like, all them tries to get that one Fannie Lou Hamer, right? And God bless them for keep on trying and not aborting. But at the same time, Fannie Lou Hamer was sterilized by the state of Mississippi without her consent. They sterilized Fannie Lou Hamer and told her afterwards because she wanted her own family. Now that she have a daughter, she got married, but I'm talking about biological. She was not allowed to have children because the state took away the right for her to be able to have children. Matter of fact, you had 21 states that I know of, probably more, that were okay with sterilizing women that were undesirables. Read black and poor women, but in particular black women. You had 21 states that did that. You also had educational institutions that supported the sterilization of black people or undesirables. You think about, Stanford University, you got University of Virginia, you got Tuskegee with the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. When they were not treating them black men for syphilis correctly, you caused them to become sterile and infertile, and they passed it on to their wives and girlfriends and whatnot. So they always been systemic genocide of the black family, right? We're not even allowed to function. So don't tell me about no black patriarchy. We were not even allowed to have families intact, even in slavery. You got somebody like a woman that's like Sojourner Truth, our ancestor, who tried to have several families. She had several families broken up by the slavery system, right? She tried several times, remarried. If you don't, well, we property. So we jumped the broom. She jumped the broom several times, and every time she did it, she had her family broken up. That's why it was so important after the Civil War. One of the first things black folks did was try to find their families that were scattered throughout the whole country. That's why black family reunions are so important and so valuable. And that's why, because we value family, because they never allow us to have families. So don't tell me about the cages on the border and all that stuff that the Obama administration actually created. Obama deported more immigrants than any president in history, as far as I know. It may change, I don't know, but I'm saying don't tell me about that when the black family is not allowed to function as a family. When you take the black man out the household, you're talking about giving subsidies from the government, but the black man can't even be in the house with his wife or girl or children. This is ridiculous. This is insane. And this got to stop. Yeah, hello?
This is an urgent message for the vehicle owner.
Anyway, but this has got to stop the disrespecting of the black man. When your woman don't respect you, when your child don't respect you, this is what we get. We get 2020. Got a lot of weak-willed black men out here, but yet they still getting WAP. And then while talking about WAP reparations, you know what I'm saying? Give the folks that on the front lines a chance to reproduce their bloodline. I'm talking about me. I'm putting in my thing because I think we need more of us around. Because like the thing about it is, women do have a lot of power when it comes to WAP, right? Y'all have power because y'all choose and decide who y'all want to give that to, who y'all want to have children with. A lot of times, y'all judgment be off on these men. Y'all have awful taste in men for whatever reason. I ain't saying all y'all, but a lot of y'all do, and y'all want to reproduce this. This guy is not worthy of that which is sacred to you or should be sacred to you. Because this is a serious thing. This is why Dr. Francis Cress Wilson will advise that black people wait until their 30s to have children, to start families. Because, what is your value system? Do you value education? Do you value creating a foundation or having yourself in a certain economic situation where you can provide for these children and not depend on white zaddy to provide for you, with some pull strings attached, right? With strings attached, right? Like, like I said, they took the black man out the household. That undermines what could be a family. And then, like, Black Lives Matter lady or black lesbian Marxist, Alicia Garza, she talking about she don't want to deal with patriarchy because her Jewish father, made her lazy self get up and get him some coffee. And that's really her main reason. But he was not no black man, as far as I know. He was a Jewish guy, and I'm assuming he was white, a Jewish guy. So you can't put that on black males because your father made your lazy self get out the bed, whatever you was doing, and make him some coffee. That's patriarchy to you. That's crazy because a black man has never been allowed to really run his household or to keep his woman in check. And so, we never been allowed that opportunity. So yeah, I want a patriarchy for me. Yeah, I want it, right? I want one for me. I want my wife to respect me enough to follow my lead, to trust my instincts, and I could be respectful of her, and trust her and build with her. So yeah, I want to be the head of my house. I want that eventually. I don't have it now. I don't have no kids. I don't have no girl. I mean, lady friend. Like I said, I'm in a drought, but I would not mind having that. I welcome that responsibility. I don't have no problem with that because I've been there, done that. I've been through a lot of stuff, and I have a lot of things I would like to pass on to my seeds. And that's the thing. I'm using this platform and other things to pass on this information that I know that I picked up over my life of trial and error. And I thank the universe so God that I'm still here to tell the tale, right? But even if I'm not still here to tell the tale, I'm leaving the evidence, as Dick did say. I'm leaving the evidence. I'm leaving the fingerprints so y'all can pick it up. But I would love to share this with my own seed, my own biological. And I don't expect them to always follow my lead. I don't expect my kids to follow in my footsteps. But I would love to help them get the foundation that I lacked. As I know now as a man, my father was not in my life like that. Now, my mom was married to my father. They met in college in UT Knoxville, University of Tennessee, Knoxville. And what's interesting, my mom's from Memphis, my dad's from Saginaw, Michigan, and they met there. But she found out that his eighth grade math teacher is her aunt, and my great aunt from Como, Mississippi, Aunt Irma, who lives in Saginaw to this day. So that's the God. I was meant to be here. I was born in college. You know what I'm saying? So I've been, I guess, educated in a way. But my father, they divorced when I was about maybe 2 years old. It didn't last, right? But he has been absentee in a lot of ways. Now he paid the child support. My mom never spoke ill of my father, right? My mama never spoke ill of my father. She always encouraged that we have a relationship. But at the same time, why is it's not on the child to always be the grown up in that situation. So, I go out years without talking to my father, but at the same time, when we get together, you assume that we talk all the time because I don't have no hatred for my father. I just don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? And only way I can understand it if he reach out to me sometime and help me understand, but he doesn't do that. And it is what it is. So now I'm a grown man. I'm 40 years old. I'm not looking for a daddy like that no more, but it'll be nice. I'll leave it open for us to have a relationship. But I think maybe if I had children, it may be different from them versus how I was not treated. That's how it's funny. Like, it's funny how some people are better grandparents than they are parents or were parents, right? But at the same time, my goal now, I owe it to my 12-year-old self or 10-year-old self to be the man I needed, at that age. I need to be the man that I need at that age for my seeds, my future seeds. This is why I'm going to do what I got to do. In the words of Judge Joe Brown, I'm a man up, right? But at the same time, women got to man up or woman up. Now, I ain't going to say man up because that's the problem now. Is too many women want to be men. I ain't talking about even the sex part. I ain't talking about the gender part. I'm talking about they want to be a man, but they don't want the man responsibility or accountability. And therein lies the problem. Now, as I'm older now, and dating is interesting. Even before COVID, dating is real interesting. I meet women. Sometimes they have children with multiple fathers. And my thing is, sometimes I meet women, they want me to be accountable for their kids. I ain't raised them, I didn't make them. But the baby father is not held to a certain standard because they never was that guy, right? They good at being bucks and producing, sex farm wise, but as far as their mental, they still are in a state of arrested development. But I've been a brother. I try to treat people with some respect. When I go on dates, I try to be respectable. I pay the bill and all that, but I don't get the same treatment as they lackadaisical baby father get or baby daddy would get. You know what I'm saying? But then they complain about the baby father, but you chose this man. You knew what this guy was before you even laid down with him and open your legs. And with sex, you can practice safe sex, but nothing safe really about sex at all because anything can happen. There's no such thing as safe sex unless you're not having sex, and that's not even sex, right? So, with that said, the women gonna have to raise their standards, and they're gonna have to, and we're gonna do a better job preparing our women. Because, like I said, a lot of them got daddy issues as well. Like I said, I got daddy issues. He wasn't there to help me become a man in the way he could have. Rites of passage wise. A lot of us think rites of passage is going to juvenile detention and get in trouble with the law. No, I mean, like, taking the time to instill in your seed some self-respect and a standard, and to pass on the family history. Right now, I've been very interested in learning about my family tree. Like, my father never took me around my people. As a grown man, I travel around the country meeting my people. And I remember I met my great uncle, Uncle Frenchie, James French. He owned and started the Charleston Chronicle in Charleston, South Carolina. That's the oldest black-owned newspaper in the state. He's an interesting guy. He has a very colorful life. He just turned 94 years young. But I met him for the first time on his 87th birthday in 2013. He was born October 7th. That's the same birthday, October 7th, of Elijah Muhammad, who's also, October 7th. So I met him, and he was impressed with me. I was impressed with him. So what he did, he gave me a family reunion book from '83 about our family, the Perret. But we was French. I tell you, my great grandfather, his father changed his name. I think he killed that white man in South Carolina and left with the Midwest. But it was a Perret family reunion book that he helped put together as a researcher. And so it's amazing to look in that book and see all my ancestors, people that were alive, their ancestors now, like Ruth Perret, my great grandfather's niece, who thought very highly of him because he stopped her father from whooping her, who was a minister. His brother, Reverend John Perret, who also was Morehouse educated. You understand? He was a preacher who owned a lot of land in South Carolina. He's gonna whoop his daughter, but my great grandfather stopped him before the incident, as they call it, happened. So she kept correspondence with him all the way up to this death. And she was like a family history. I wish I could have talked to her. But no, it was before my time. I mean, I was a little kid. I was like 3 years old when that book came out, but it's like they the powers that be, the ancestors, the righteous ancestors, not those powers that be, but the real power, the universe. So God chose me to tell the stories of my ancestors, right? And it's going to help me in the future, like, know this side of my family, because I want to pass this along to the folks coming up and for future generations to have and make it really accessible to them. And also on my mom's side of the family, learning that history, like about the Moon brothers from Tunica County, Mississippi, who fought in the American Civil War. They were my ancestors. Like Frank Moon was the father of my maternal grandfather's mother. Yeah, his name was Frank Moon, and they fought in the Civil War. He lost his twin brother Albert in the Civil War after the Battle of Vicksburg. But it's a moon landing in Tunica County, Mississippi. I didn't know that was founded by a black man. That was named for a black settler who founded that. And it's so much stuff, man, because we need that now. Because a lot of our people were entrepreneurs. They were go-getters. You got to think about it. After the Civil War, they closed their literacy gap very fast. Within 20 years, black people was one of the most literate groups in the country, can read and write, and now we got folks graduating from high school that can't read at all. They functional illiterate. That's crazy. That after the Civil War, we was all about education and bettering ourselves, and we could read and be literate. Now you got people graduating from high school that can't even write their name. So, with that said, it seems like I'm all over the place, but getting back to the contract with Black America, you already had these examples. I said Dr. Clyde Anderson, Powernomics, and also you have even the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, the 10-point platform. That is powerful. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just go back to the ancestors. They leaving us breadcrumbs for the bigger picture, right? For the bigger loaf of bread. There's breadcrumbs throughout history. But I would encourage whoever wins. I believe Donald Trump's going to win. And if he don't win on November 3rd, he'll win by the end of the year or by January, because he got a Supreme Court the way he wants it. And like 20 years ago, I still believe it may be decided in Supreme Court like it was 20 years ago with Gore v. Bush. But they need to have a black cabinet like FDR did. Franklin Roosevelt had a black cabinet. This was a cabinet outside his official cabinet that was comprised of the leading black leaders of the country at that time, including Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. These were the people he consulted on black issues in the country. Right now, he got black folks around him, but they're not serving the interests of the black people. And a lot of them are upset with Ice Cube because Ice Cube really is about the grassroots. He even rap about it. Get out the grassroots and let them grow. He's all about reaching the people. You gotta understand where Ice Cube's coming from. Even whatever you feel about NWA, they was able to achieve major commercial success without commercial radio. And that's because of the grassroots, the word of mouth, the people in the streets hearing it and buying it. You know what I'm saying? So Ice Cube always been about the grassroots. And also, he is a student in his own way of Khalid Muhammad, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, the great Dr. Khalid Muhammad. Tutor, mentor. He was a Jegna, Ice Cube, Farrakhan, all that stuff. So he has that influence. And I think I know the black cabinet that the next president needs to really have should be mostly comprised of grassroots people that's actually doing things in their respective community and have an understanding of what black folks really need and what we need to be going and where we need to be going. And we can't do that with the Boule, Jack and Jill, sorority, fraternity types, the black Greeks. I don't think they're going to be the ones because they had their time. And a lot of them are really just gatekeepers, like the black Boule. I think the ancestor, righteous ancestor, Steve Coakley, we know who the black Boule is and what they're about. They're not serving the interests of the majority of black people in this country. They are to serve the interests of the powers that be. A lot of these black Boule folks are white supremacists. They believe that the white man's ice is colder and everything else. White is always right, especially with mites. So whites is always right, especially with mites. That's how these folks think. So they really like white supremacists. So the Boule ain't really no good to the people. They a bunch of race traitors, a lot of them. You even look at the Congressional Black Caucus, they haven't said a mumbling word about what's going on with black people. But yet, anything Trump, they own it, right? The people in their own districts are suffering and not getting kicked out their districts, the gentrification and all that stuff. You look at somebody like Maxine Waters. I had my run-ins with Maxine over the years, in particular with Dick Gregory. I'll say that for a book or something. But Maxine Waters got a multi-million-dollar mansion, but the people in her district and in L.A., period, are suffering. It's a lot of black folks on Skid Row. A lot of black folks in this district losing their homes, getting kicked out, evicted during this time of so-called pandemic, So none of them speak for us, but yet they want to clown and act the fool for a camera when it comes to Trump. And Trump has done more for black people than even the Congressional Black Caucus. Yeah, I went and said it. Trump has done more for black people. Forget all that, since Lincoln, he has done more to help black people than the Congressional Black Caucus been in their existence, in their entire existence. You got to remember, many members of the Congressional Black Caucus was for that crime bill. And a lot of them may have buyer's remorse, but you can't run from history. You got to face the facts. That's an albatross around y'all neck too. And a lot of them thought that was the right thing to do because the crime was created by the government. The CIA put the cracking guns in the black communities, right? Freeway Ricky Ross can't even read and write, but yeah, he's the kingpin over the distribution of all that. Come on, man. Just told y'all. Wake up. All this stuff is available. So read Gary Webb's Dark Alliance. It's still online. Gary Webb killed himself by shooting himself twice in the head. Yeah, right. That's back in 2004. But check out the movie Killed the Messenger. But yet, you want to blame the victim for being victimized. So we're not responsible for that. And then also they put the crack coke policy. That's Biden and his dysfunctional family, the dysfunctional crime family. It is like Tony Soprano. Very dysfunctional. They need therapy. But they put the crack coke policy sentencing disparity in that. So you got tens of thousands of black men and women disenfranchised. He will be the Democratic Party sold out their future when it came to the black vote. And now it's just, it's been 20 some years in the making, and now the chickens has come home to roost. Enough is enough. We got the information age, to be the so-called age of Aquarius. So we got all this information available now, and now we know better. Even though they scrubbing the internet, they putting people in Facebook jail for spreading the truth. A lot of this information, they won't blame it on Russia bots. I call them CNN bots. I call them AT aliens. These are homemade stuff. Think about Operation Mockingbird. These so-called mainstream media folks, fake news folks, they are a product of Operation Mockingbird. Look it up. So the U.S. intelligence apparatus actually control the mainstream media and the movies. The Department of Defense put a lot of money into these movies. So all this predictive programming. Why do you think the Simpsons are able to predict the future? as y'all say. Come on now. Who stole Nikola Tesla's notebooks when he died? The government. You know. So the thing about it is that I need our people to open their minds to the possibilities. We need a black cabinet for the next president of the United States. It need to be more grassroots oriented people, people who are not going to sell out the black people just because they want a position within the mansion on the plantation. All right, they want a room in the mansion on Candyland plantation. We don't need no Uncle Stevens or no Uncle Stephanies selling out the black people. We need Adam Clayton Powell Juniors. We need Marion Barrys. We need Stokely's or Kwame Torres. We need Fannie Lou Hamers. We need folks like that that's about instilling dignity, resources, and respect in the black family unit, because black family matters. Not black lesbian Marxists, but black lives really matter and should not be for sale to the lowest bidder. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So, but at the same time, what's sad is that the Democrats can talk to Cardi B, who does not consider herself black, and take us seriously. And then they won't meet with Ice Cube, who actually got something in his hand to offer them in order to leverage the playing field for foundational black Americans or American descendant of slaves, native black people. I'm not interested in 50 Cent when he got to say he flip-flopping over some white WAP, and really worn out WAP, look like, chest and handles like she's seen better days. But 50 flip-flopping. 50 is an entertainer. He's a court jester. He's not to be taken serious. He's there for entertainment and for social media currency and to keep us distracted. Because I think it's silly that we take these folks that seriously. Because a lot of them are not that well educated on politics. Now, I like the 50th Law that 50 wrote with Robert Greene, the guy who wrote the 48 Laws of Power. 50 ain't dumb, but 50 is not a person you should trust with your future in terms of black America. And Ice Cube is an exception to the rule. I think he's channeling the spirit or the power of the people like Paul Robeson, Muhammad Ali, people like that who risk a lot in order to do for our people and were made examples of and were punished for not staying in their quote unquote place. And Ice Cube been consistent last several months. And at first I thought he was mad because his movie that he did with Diana Ross daughter did not, make a lot of money. Because like the COVID situation was not allowed to come out in the theaters normally. So, but it might have been there, but thank God, because we got the contract with Black America and we got death certificate Q. So it's a trade-off. But with Nick Cannon, like I said, Dick Gregory had a lot of respect and admiration for people like Nick Cannon and Killer Mike. And I'm not gonna take nothing from the brothers, but everybody ain't made for this type of struggle or cut from this type of cloth. And I can't really appreciate what it's like to be a Killer Mike or Nick Cannon because I don't got no money like them. I don't got that type of money, so I can't appreciate what they probably the decisions they have to make in order to keep their family fed and keep a roof over their head and all this other stuff and taking care of people. But nobody's asking y'all to step out y'all lane to stay entertaining and distracting people. Just be court justice. Be well paid and compensated court justice. Don't act like y'all Nat Turner and some Denmark VC or Gabriel Prost or some Malcolm and Marcus. Don't act like you know king, because y'all not. But at the same time, brother, what do you mean by WAP reparations? Well, like I said, our women need to honor the men who are really men, who are doing stuff for our community. They need to be reproduced, and we need to start families with people like that. Like with women, women are the first. They are the first teachers of the child, right? They are the nurturers. They're the first teacher of the child. Men, we build confidence in our children and in our women. We give them our strength in order to be strong for themselves, to do the things they want to do. They include us on the process as well, like we include them on the process. So I think women should submit to their men, but let these be honorable men. Y'all submit. When I mean submit, mean open your legs and take advice from the wrong fellow. Get the right man. But a lot of times our women may not have that in their lives because lack of a relationship with a father or just having terrible experience with a father. Because some fathers or men can abuse their power when it comes to their daughters. A lot of these men do things that are very unethical and questionable. Not a lot of these men, but some of these men, right? So you end up with women that are confused. And the thing about it, I think everybody has a chance to be saved and salvaged and to be a good for the greater humanity. And it comes in seasons. Everybody's season don't happen at the same time. Sometimes you gotta go through some struggles, some winters, some harsh winters, or a dark winter to get that light from spring and summer. So with that said, um, I'm thinking like, women, and I don't know how long it's gonna take, but we're gonna have to get through this. We're gonna have to start investing in our women because it was a sister who told me something that was very powerful because he saw my last interview or last dialogue I had with Brother King BJ. Shout out to Bernard Johnson out of Richmond, Virginia. I think he's Gabriel Prosser reincarnated. He actually visited me on October 9th, me and Judge Joe Brown. And I don't know if you realize October 10th was like the 220th anniversary of the state sponsored killing of Gabriel Prosser. He was hanged by the state of Virginia back on October 10th, 1800, And like I said, Nat Turner was born October 2nd, 1800, which is interesting. But yeah, I like his spirit. He's a good brother. And I don't know. It's just so much that's on my mind right now. The sister was telling me the reason why a lot of these sisters act the way they do out of order because they never got the attention they deserved when they was coming up. They never got people acknowledge them as existing. So what they end up doing, they try to heighten or amplify their existence. Meaning, I want you to look at me. I'm gonna wear this weird hair, colorful hair, and all this other stuff. I'm gonna talk loud. And I'm gonna be all with the attitude, extra with the attitude, because they want you to acknowledge that they exist. They're not invisible, and that makes a lot of sense to me now. A lot of sisters, they looking for attention. They looking not just for attention, but also for love, for acceptance. Now you look at a lot of these women on social media, they show off everything. Or even like, I know it's like a lot of women. It seems like a lot of women, a lot of black women got tattoos all over the place. Now I don't have no problem with tattoos. I just think that's fascinating. There's so many of our women, our beautiful women, got their whole body covered up with tattoos. And I know Baba Dick Gregory said some years ago that you see a lot of people with tattoos. That's a sign of rebellion, of a revolution that's coming forth. I believe he told me in one of my interviews a while ago. He said the Japanese, when they invaded China, they were looking for certain people that had a lot of tattoos to get rid of them or something like that. I could be wrong about that, but he said that because tattoos are a sign of revolution. So our people are actually getting ready for the revolution. Because I remember going to St. Louis, and I attended Mike Brown's funeral. That was interesting, being in St. Louis and Ferguson and stuff like that. Because all the time I was at WashU, I never knew a Ferguson existed. I had no idea that there was a Ferguson until years later when Mike Brown happened. And I was noticing, I was telling them, I said, it's interesting. There's a lot of cats walk around here with dreads and locks and stuff like that. And like hair has a special place in our community. Like, Dick wore his beard real long. But a lot of people believe that hair is used to communicate with the universal God. So I was thinking like, oh, these guys got locks and stuff like that. Even Darren Seal, King D, right? May he rest in peace. Darren Seals, one of the most vocal grassroots activists in Ferguson. He was part of the grassroots Black Lives Matter, not the corporate LLC George Soros back. And he was very vocal about that, and it cost him his life. But a lot of them cats had dreads and locks. So I said, this is going to be a sign of revolution, like some Haitian revolution stuff going on here. All these brothers and women with long hair and locks and dreads and whatnot. So it was something to think about, right? So you think about Samson in the Bible. His strength was in his what? In his hair. And when they cut his hair off, he became weak, right? But even in his weakened state, he brought the house down. He literally brought the temple down, right? So even black folks in our weakened state, we still strong enough. We still a threat. They are so afraid of us. But a lot of times we are afraid of ourselves and our potential. We're more afraid of our potential than they are of our existence. And therein lies the problem. We gotta break that curse. But when I talk about WAP reparations, I mean we gotta have the sisters give the love to the brothers who deserve to be loved. We gotta have them bloodlines continue. People talking about where's the Malcolms and the Martins and the Meggers and all these people. I said we gotta continue them bloodlines. You got to reward the cats that are on the front lines for us, for you, for us. Because a race, like Judge Joe Brown said, is judged by the achievements of their men. And the women benefit from that. But black women are told do not respect their men by the system subliminally. Not always vocally, but by subliminals. You see how black men are treated like males and children. Why should I respect a child among grown up, supposedly? And black women are given certain privileges and access. A lot of our sisters, you had black women rewarding slave owners, and all that stuff, sleep with them. This is a part of our history. Y'all talking about Kamala Harris, folks own slaves, ancestors, whatever. I got folks in my family that own slaves. I'm not from Jamaica. I'm not Indian. I'm Native, American. I got Native American blood, because we know black folks was already here. But I had folks in my family tree that own people. I had folks in my family tree that fought in the American Revolutionary War. They fought in the Civil War. They fought in all the wars. A lot of us do. But history is very complex and families are very complex, right? Roots, but it's good to know just because. But yeah, instead of withholding WAP as hostage, reward the brothers who's really out here doing what they're supposed to be doing, or in the process, because a lot of things can go. What they say, that old saying, you could get there faster by yourself. We could get there, but you could get there farther together. If we could get the black man and black woman on the same page, ain't nothing we can't do. Ain't nothing we can't solve. We could create a just world, but we gotta be on the same page. See, we are our strongest when we together. Like our biggest victories in the so-called civil rights movement came when the black man and woman and child all worked in unison to advance. We didn't need the white college students, no disrespect to them. We didn't need no freedom summer like that. We didn't need any white ally. We just be a friend to ourselves and be more loving and patient towards ourselves. Even Fannie Lou Hamer overstood that. I mean, she didn't know she couldn't vote until she was in her 40s. Spent her whole life up to that point on plantation. And when she went to vote or register to vote, she got kicked out that plantation. That's all she know. But it freed her to live her higher and truer self. And we need to study Fannie Lou Hamer because unfortunately, when she died March 14th, 1977, we were closer to where we needed to be than in October 2020. Where, if Fannie Lou Hamer had a certain understanding of politics and how not to compromise on principle. Yes, politics include compromise, but you should never compromise your principle or your integrity. Integrity. Should never compromise your principle or integrity to make a deal. So so-called leadership today for black folks, the ones that y'all know and y'all love, like Dr. Randy Short said, we love our traitors but hate our heroes. They have compromised not only their integrity and principle, but they have sold out the people. And there will come a time where they must answer for that. It will come a time because we're gonna have to stop doing that because we don't get anywhere. But I would love for us to be able to be in a space where we can accept our people as they are, but also demand more of ourselves and of our people. Because it's crucial right now. This is crucial right now. We got to stop. All this stuff we think is important ain't important. Sports ain't important right now. Sports ain't important right now. Gossip, just about celebrity. That's not really important right now. What is important is that we get together as a unit and start, dedicating ourselves to studying. Study. That's very important. Studying military science, studying our history, our family trees, understanding what came before, and not making excuses for not doing more, right? Because what Ice Cube, I think, is really short-sighted. I'll respond because people assume that he talked to Trump, that means he's for Trump. Well, if Marcus Garvey was living today and he had a meeting with the Klan, which he did, Marcus Garvey had business and political dealings with the Klan. The Klan was like 4 million strong back in the 20s, but Marcus Garvey dealt with them because they all had mutual interests, trying to get you Negroes back to Africa. So your enemies in politics can be your friend when it comes to getting things done. Elijah Muhammad, the Nation of Islam, brought land in Georgia from the Klan. Elijah Muhammad allowed George Lincoln Rockwell to be a special guest of honor at a Savior's Day. There's pictures of George Lincoln Rockwell sitting in a in a hall with Nation of Islam in the auditorium, whatever, with the Nation of Islam. Maybe he's uncomfortable, but like I said, politics made for strange bedfellows. But he sat in the hall in the auditorium during that Savior's Day. I think it was Savior's Day, but there's pictures of that. So are they coons and sellouts because they met with their so-called enemies to discuss mutual interests? Or is it smart? Is it chess, not checkers? Right? So we got to study that type of stuff. I mean, even I said this is Black October, right? You know, people talk about October 16th. October 16th is a very powerful date in Black history. You have October 16th marks the anniversary of John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry, when in what is now known as West Virginia, to try to get their arsenal to arm the slaves for an insurrection, and it failed, right? Well, also you had out of that come Django character, right? Uh, John Brown's Black Raiders, right? One of them, uh, Dangerfield Newbie. See, Django, the Jamie Foxx character, he just lost his sister. My condolences, amplified blessings and condolences to Jamie Foxx and his family. But the Django character, like Dick Gregory told us so years ago in that viral video, that really, opened a lot of things up for We All Be, and really reintroduced Dick Gregory to a new and younger audience. He said that the Django character is based on Dangerfield Newbie, one of John Brown's Black Raiders at Harper's Ferry, one of the first people to die. And when they, searched his body, they found a letter from his wife that he was trying to rescue from slavery. She was sold, I guess, down south, and I guess he was trying to get the weaponry and like that to go rescue her. So that's what Django Unchained is based on an actual character named Dangerfield Newbie. If you could Google search him or image search him, Jamie Foxx bears a resemblance to Dangerfield Newbie. How Jamie Foxx's character was in Django, he kind of favored Dangerfield Newbie. And Jamie Foxx is a very talented actor, just an artist, just brilliant. He really transforms himself into his characters. That's a sign of a great actor, of a great artist. So my condolences once again to his family for his loss. But yeah, we got in October 16th, 1995, of course, with the 25th anniversary this year, the Million Man March. We had like over 2 million black men and other black folks come out in solidarity and peace for atonement and for a greater future. So, we went from that, and so are we better off 25 years later? I heard some things, some pros and cons about that. Y'all should check out the critique that Dr. John Henry Clark did on the Million Man March back in 1995. And he didn't win no friends with his critique, but it was honest. And it is what it is. Dr. John Henry Clark was not the biggest fan of Farrakhan, but he was a close associate and a researcher for the late great Malcolm X. So he was just talking, shooting from the hip. Like, Dr. John Henry Clark had interesting critiques of Malanga Karanga, his name Ram Malanga Karanga, the founder of Kwanzaa, allegedly. I know Judge Brown don't have no love for Karanga. And I heard some things, but I know some people who have benefited from his tutelage, that they claim he was his jegna. Like, shout out to Craig Hodges, the great NBA 3-point specialist who won a championship with the Bulls. He went to the White House and shot it out with George H.W. Bush on the court and shoot 3-pointers and whatnot. Very vocal, very Afrocentric, but one of his valued professors was Dr. Karenga when he was out there in California going to college. So, it's all about balance and pros and cons. Like I said, one man's terrorist and another man's freedom fighter. So, also on October 16th, 1901, 119 years ago, you had the real version of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And that was, Booker T. Washington was invited for dinner at the White House by Teddy Roosevelt, who was president at the time. I know Dave Chappelle in his recent comedy special 846, he alluded to that, but he didn't go in detail about that. That was the first time a black person was invited to dinner, to dine at the White House with the president, not to serve the president as a butler or as a chef or as a maid, but to actually sit down as an equal at the table and dine with the president. And there was a lot of pushback from the white establishment. White folks did not love that at all. White folks lost their mind, their head exploded. Like in the Dave Chappelle episode, the first Dave Chappelle show episode with the Black Klansman, and they found out he was a black man, and white folks' head exploded. I think one white person's head exploded, but they just lost their mind. How dare Teddy Roosevelt treat this Niagara as an equal? You had folks on the Senate floor calling for the mass lynching of black people, like Senator Ben Tillman from South Carolina, who's a powerful politician from South Carolina, a big white supremacist, right? And ain't it ironic that South Carolina, 119 years later, may have two black U.S. senators from the same state of Ben Tillman? Can you imagine what Ben Tillman would be doing right now if he was witnessing the fact that they already got one, a Republican named Tim Scott, and Tim Scott actually is smarter than what he looks like. I ain't know what to make of him. But he actually said got a lot of sense, and that's another story. But they might be having two black U.S. senators from the state of South Carolina, Ben Tillman's South Carolina, the same Ben Tillman that called for mass lynchings of black people on the floor of Congress, especially after Booker T. Washington was allowed to eat with Teddy Roosevelt. So he wrote a poem called "Naggers in the White House." I'm doing a short We All Be segment on that. But that happened October 16th, 1901. So October 16th is a very powerful date in black history. This is why I call it Black October. So, you had some black folks that loved the fact that Booker T. Washington met with Roosevelt on those terms. They saw him as a hero. And people like Bishop Henry McNeil Turner, another freedom fighter, he said, you did a great job for the race. But then he had folks like William Monroe Trotter. William Monroe Trotter was a brilliant black man. He had his own newspaper called The Guardian up in Boston. He was the first black Phi Beta Kappa at Harvard University. And his wife, he basically beat out Du Bois because Du Bois was in love with his wife, and he won her love. Unfortunately, he lost her during the influenza epidemic, kind of like COVID, almost 100 years ago. He lost her to that. So that thing killed, like they said, some estimates say it killed like over 100 million people back in 1918, 1919. But he lost his wife, but his wife, was the love interest of Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, who was the first black person to get a PhD from Harvard University. But he was not a fan of Booker T. Washington, of his policies. He said, how can you be so conservative but dying white? You know what I'm saying? You got all these conservative values, this Atlanta Compromise stuff you talking about. You be as separate as the fingers on the hand, but one when it comes to progress, one is a fist when it comes to progress. So he saw Booker T. Washington as a hypocrite, right? But you can't please everybody. It's kind of like with Kanye West. A lot of people think Kanye West was a sellout for meeting with Donald Trump over the last several years. But Kanye West is brilliant. He might end up freeing more black folks than Harriet Tubman ever did. And that's not hyperbole. That's a fact because he was the one that introduced Dr. Clyde Anderson's Powernomics to Jared Kushner, Donald Trump's son-in-law and one of his closest advisors. He was the one that introduced Powernomics, Dr. Clyde Anderson's theory on black empowerment through economics to Jared Kushner, who's a very influential and powerful member of Donald Trump's entourage or cabinet, whatever. So, even if you don't agree with a lot of things Kanye say and whatnot, Kanye is a necessary evil for some of y'all. I love Kanye. He's a brilliant musician. He's his own person, and he's a critical thinker. And his foundation prepared them for that, with both his parents being very well educated and professors and all that stuff. So just like Dave Chappelle, folks, college educated professors and stuff. So these guys are not happening out of vacuum. This is why it's important. Like I said, we get these bloodlines and all that stuff and marry well, mate well, and marry well. So that's very important. So I guess it's all for this segment right now. I guess I'll do it for this segment. I could go on and on, but I just want to make sure I did something because sometimes I don't feel like people really want to hear what I got to say, but I'm surprised that people do want to hear what I want to say or got to say rather. And sometimes it can be overwhelming. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's a lot on my mind. This year has been crazy, a lot of anxiety even for me, but at the same time, I'm hopeful, and I hope that whatever I said in this segment can be a service to somebody out there. That's evidently some of the stuff I be doing and saying is a service to the people out there. So with it said, if you like the words from Brother Herd, please feel free to tell people about We All Be. Subscribe. We All Be TV on YouTube. That's We All Be TV on YouTube. If you like the art from Brother Herd, go to my website, r2c2h2.com, and check it out. If you like to wear art of his art, it's my Nipsey Hussle Nina Crenshaw shirt that I drew and created. Go to our Teespring. If you're on YouTube, down here below the description box, there's a shelf of some of my artwork on shirts. You click that shelf and it'll take you right to our official Teespring website, R2C2H2's place. If you'd like to show your support in other ways, like a due, DUE, pay your dues, Dues Nation, Dues Nation, right? DUES, Dues Nation. You can do the Cash App, R2C2H2, that's $R2C2H2, $R2C2H2 Cash App. You could PayPal or Google Pay your support at R2C2H2 at gmail.com. That's R2C2H2 at gmail.com. You could Vimo your support at R2C2H2 at R2C2H2. And so that does it for another edition. I probably will go more into the WAP reparations and stuff and all this stuff. I'll probably have some guests on. We could go deeper into that, deeper and steeper, as a person would say. Deeper and steeper, we could go into that. So in the words of Great Gilton, we love you matinee. Keep on producing and pushing. And remember, Black Power is solidarity and unity. You see how it works? One love. Yeah, yeah. Ha ha ha.
Hey, everybody, this is Brother Ron. I am asking you all to do me a big favor. Think about supporting the We All Be movement. Your donation is tax deductible. The We All Be Group Incorporated is a recognized 501c3. And I'm just asking you all because I want to keep on bringing y'all quality work through the way that I know how to do best. And I'm going to sing my praises and toot my horn. A lot of y'all were not hip to Dick Gregory until Brother Ron brought him on the We All Be platform, until that jingle review we did. Y'all seen another side of Judge Joe Brown, and Judge Joe Brown's message has been amplified. But it was We All Be that brought Judge Joe Brown to y'all back in 2014. And so many others. And we covered so many things. So help us out so we can help you all. Peace.